On a train, Hinagiku Kayo lost her balance as it swayed. But her guard, Sakura Himedaka, was there to catch her, making sure she was unhurt. Hina admired the snow outside. She loved winter. On the other hand, Sakura loathed it with passion. Returning to her duty today, Hina wondered when she'd be able to apologize to Lord Rusei. Sakura didn't understand why she'd want to do that. It would have made sense if Rusei came to apologize to her. However, Hina wasn't the same. She felt Rusei would be disappointed. But Sakura assured her that was over and done with. No matter how many times, she'd always let Hina know she was fine the way she was. She was certain someone, somewhere, would need Hina. After all, Lady Hinagiku Kayo was this country's agent of spring. In the city of Ryugu, everywhere was covered in snow and ice. People walked around in coats, blowing on their hands for warmth. Arriving there, Sakura and Hina met with a man who informed them there was no notice from the Four Seasons Agency. They weren't expecting an agent today. However, Sakura explained this would be Hina's first right since her return. For that, the agent of spring wished to avoid attention as much as possible. Sakura demanded that they get permission to climb Mount Ryugu and clear the area. As an alert was issued over public comms, Sakura stepped out with Hina. But they didn't expect to see a huge crowd waiting. Hina was too shy, flustered by the staring eyes. She'd be protected by her guard, who told them all not to swarm her. On the ride to the mountain, Hina wondered why Ryugu wasn't as warm as it should be. Sakura explained that the seasons were out of balance now. There hadn't been spring in 10 years. Filled with guilt, Hina would apologize. But Sakura said she didn't need to blame herself. If the rite today went well, it would fix everything, and she was certain things would go as planned. She gave Hina her word, reminding her that she promised to do whatever necessary to keep a hold of Sakura, even if it were to make spring bloom and melt the ice. Arriving at the foot of the stairs, Sakura bent to carry her lady, since the road ahead was steep. With a cute look in her eyes, Hina told her not to tire herself, since she was to protect her. The irresistible charm left Sakura blushing hard. After the car left, Sakura took Lady Hina's hand, leading her to where the rite was to be performed. Getting to the top, she recalled how the Four Seasons Agency wanted to gather 500 people for this special occasion. Manifesting the seasons was a sacred and secret rite, not a show. So, she cut the call on them. By now, the village and agency had to be scrambling to find them, but Sakura didn't care. So far as Hina could go into the rite feeling confident, that was all that mattered. Sakura swore to keep her safe from any insurgents, even if it meant death. Just then, Hina called her attention to a little kid ahead of them. It was odd, especially since people were told to keep away from the mountain, but she wanted to keep the children safe. Sakura had no choice but to oblige. Carrying Hina, she chased after the kid. But who wouldn't run away when someone suddenly started chasing them? When they finally caught up to her, Nazuna explained she was out here shoveling snow. Sakura told her to go home because of the ritual. The snow would melt and might cause an avalanche. It wouldn't be safe here. Nazuna wondered what this ritual was, and Hina told her it was to call spring. But the little girl didn't know what spring was. That was to be expected, since she was only 12, and because the last spring here was 10 years ago. Hina gently let her know that spring was one of the seasons, along with summer, autumn, and winter. Sakura would then introduce her lady as the agent of spring. Nazuna knew about those because it was the agent of winter who called the current season. They learned all about the seasons in class. But Nazuna doubted spring's existence and asked her to prove she was a goddess. Holding a seed in her hand, a green light lit up all around. Hina admitted she wasn't a goddess. Rather, she'd only been lent this power to deliver the seasons on behalf of one. The power of spring was life acceleration. The divine power didn't belong to her. She handed the bloomed flower to Nazuna, saying she was just an agent who managed the seasons. Even after seeing Hina's power, Nazuna refused to leave. She was out here shoveling snow because she wanted to. Sakura would try to force her out, but Nazuna was being a brat. Hina then suggested that Sakura should look for Nazuna's family while she waited behind. But Sakura refused to leave her unguarded, fearing the worst would happen again. Hina told her not to blame herself anymore, but Sakura insisted on taking the guilt for as long as she lived. If she could go back in time, she'd take her past self and kill her. Thrown into that moment of despair, only the death of her old self reigned in Sakura's mind. Hina would comfort her, reminding her that everything was alright now. Sakura apologized for forgetting herself. She was the sword that defended the agent of spring, and for that, she had to aid Hina in all she wished to do. With that being said, she agreed to escort Nazuna. On their way, Nazuna asked why Hina was playing hide-and-seek for 10 years. The adults said it was always winter because she got spirited away, and she took that as playing hide-and-seek with the spirits. Sakura told her it was due to an unfortunate accident. However, she didn't go into any details, telling Nazuna it was none of her business. But Nazuna would argue against that. Her father was into tourism and didn't know what to do now that Ryuga had long winters and snow. That was why her family didn't have much money, and her father couldn't buy her anything. Unable to bear the guilt, Hina decided to tell her why she'd been missing for 10 years. She was playing endure and wait for your chance to strike. That was something her friend's mother told her. It meant even if she was losing now, she shouldn't give up, but wait for a day when she could fight back. Even if she got in trouble, she had to be like a hibernating animal and just keep enduring. Because if she never gave in and kept living, then someday, without a doubt, spring would come. Nazuna didn't really understand, but she figured Hina must have had her struggles. Hina promised to work hard to make up for the troubles she caused. Sakura wouldn't have Nazuna ask Hina any more questions. Nevertheless, the little girl didn't appreciate being yelled at. She didn't get why adults always yelled. She hated them. They were all bullies in her eyes. Shortly after, they arrived at a gravesite. That was where Nazuna's mom lay. Not wanting her mom to be cold, Nazuna began shoveling the snow. She could see this place from her home, and she looked at it every single day. It was nice during the summer. The flowers were pretty, and her mom didn't look lonely. During the autumn, the fallen leaves made a blanket to cover her. But in winter, Nazuna worried her mom would be cold. The weather was harsh after all. She figured Sakura and Hina thought she was doing something weird and silly. That was why she hated grown-ups. Her father always said the same thing, reminding her that her mom was gone and that there was no point to this. But so far as she could see that grave, her mom was still here. It wasn't pointless to her, nor was it silly. Hina could tell that Nazuna wanted to tell her mom how much she loved her. For the 10 years she was gone, Nazuna had lived without knowing spring. It was obvious Nazuna was one of the people who desperately needed Hina. An agent was not to use their power without due case. However, to ease the sorrow of one of their young subjects, Sakura was sure the 4 seasons would permit one to perform her rites here. As Hina took her fan, Sakura beseeched her to bring back spring to this country and let the cherry blossoms dazzle in their eyes. There was nothing to fear. Hina would manifest a magnificent spring. Embracing Nazuna, she let her know that spring would come, and when it did, the snow would melt. With that, Nazuna wouldn't need a shovel anymore, and her mom wouldn't be cold. The rite she was about to witness was a secret she'd have to keep. Standing at the summit, Hina opened her fan. She danced wonderfully as she sang a beautiful melody. As the snow slowly lifted up, the sky opened up, showering the earth in a bright, warm light. In a flash, grass filled the area. Flowers bloomed as rain poured down. It was such a beautiful sight that left Nazuna in tears. It was then she recalled that she had seen spring before. How could she forget such a beautiful memory? She wished she could show her dad. Hina had been working so hard for people like her. It got unbearable, but she kept trying. And now, all that hard work had paid off. Spring was here, and Nazuna was happy. Nazuna was told to be proud. She might be lonely, but the world loved her. It might not have been Hina's best performance, but spring was here now, safe and sound. In the beginning, there was winter. There was no other season but winter. And winter, unable to bear the solitude, made spring. Winter adored spring. Likewise, spring did the same for winter in a loving cycle. Winter then made summer and autumn. Spring pursued winter and summer, and autumn followed. The 4 seasons settled into their cycle, but winter and spring's honeymoon was no more. Then, summer and autumn had an idea. Why not entrust their roles to those who live on land? The 4 seasons came to bestow their powers on certain humans, and winter gained time to love spring forever. So the myth went. In spring, a carpet of cherry blossoms. In summer, a sea of green. In autumn, a curtain of ginkgo. And in winter, a cradle of silver. They traveled the land throughout the year, giving the seasons blessings to all things. They receive their power and duty they bear from the gods. They are called the agents of the 4 seasons. This is a story of those agents, a continuation of the myth, a story about rescue, a story about friendship, a commonplace love story. And now that story is about to begin. I've come to save you. You're safe now. Those were the words the young boy wished to have said, yet he didn't. He felt it would have been better if he just died. After Hina was done with the spring ritual, the 4 seasons agency found them. However, she didn't want to run away. Sakura reminded her that the agency had kidnapped her 10 years ago, making spring disappear from the country. Now that she had come back, without a doubt, ignorant people would say horrible things about her. They might get hurt worse than they already were. Regardless, Hina would endure, no matter what anyone said. After all, she had Sakura to protect her. At the same time, Rose received word that spring had returned to Ryugu. The agent was certain that it was the missing Hina who performed the manifestation. Shortly after, Ishihara of the FSA Department of Conservation, Security Division, Winter Section reported for duty, addressing Rusei Katsubaki, the agent of Winter, and Ite Kongetsu, guard of Winter. She promised to do her utmost best. She'd be cut off quickly by Rusei, saying they had to go. Itecho explained they'd be going to check that the first spring in 10 years manifested properly. News about the emergence of spring was already spreading fast. Meanwhile, Itecho told Rusei that, as usual, the agency told him not to go anywhere, but he felt it would be a waste just sitting around. Rusei felt Hina wouldn't want to see him, since she hadn't answered his letter. Still, it'd be enough for him to see this spring she had given them. Recalling the reports of her kidnapping, he blamed himself for everything. He wished he could just vanish from this life. Itecho would headbutt him, telling him not to say things like that. At least he got through to him. As they arrived, Rusei could feel a warm breeze when the airplane doors opened. Without a doubt, spring had sprung. Suddenly, a gun was fired straight at him. Luckily, he caught the bullet with his powers, and Itecho was unharmed. Rusei would form a wall of ice to block the rain of bullets. It seemed this kind of greeting was the usual. The insurgents attacked Winter, even more than the other seasons. Some held a grudge against the season, and others wanted the agent's powers. Their reasons varied. Rusei cared not for their principles. On his signal, he and Itecho began taking out the insurgents. The world was full of people like this, and the agents were always under attack. And so, Rusei apologized beforehand because he was going to put Ishihara in harm's way. When they got to the hotel, Itecho confirmed that the insurgents were in custody and would be interrogated by the National Public Safety Organization. He then told Rusei he'd have to wait for a bit. Rusei insisted on going out alone so others wouldn't be put in harm's way, but doing so would only worsen his position. There was no need to rush. Itecho reminded him how important he was. Regardless, Rusei found it funny how people saw him as a living god. Yet, he still got targeted by insurgents and tied down by the state. He couldn't even look at cherry blossoms when he wanted to. He wanted to feel that Hina was back and feel her spring. Was that too much to ask? He blamed himself for the loss of Hina back then. Insurgents were tracking down Rusei to kill him. In the midst of it, Sakura was injured, trying to protect Hina. So, Rusei ordered Itecho to take the girls and run, while he stayed behind to kill himself. Hearing that, Hina screamed out, and her powers went out of control as large roots took over the whole area. Under the huge cherry blossom tree, she gave herself up to protect the others. Rusei and the others were helpless, screaming Hina's name as she was taken away. Later, Ishihara asked Itecho if Rusei and Hina were close. If they were, she wondered why they had to stop at inspecting areas instead of going to see Hina in person. But it wasn't that simple. Itecho told her that they didn't even know how Hina felt. At the very least, Sakura would probably never forgive them, and Itecho could only blame himself. Ishihara would then look up at the reports on Hina's abduction. Hina was staying at the village of Winter when the insurgents attacked and seized her. The NSO, FSA, and the villages of Winter and Spring all joined the search. However, the village of Spring pulled out after only 3 months. Back then, Sakura banged on their gates, begging them not to abandon Hina. Itecho ran to her and was informed of what had happened. This meant Sakura had been relieved of her duty. Itecho wouldn't let her blame herself. Instead, he took all the guilt for letting the insurgents break in. Their eyes were full of anguish. Itecho then asked Sakura to come to the village of Winter so they could search for Hina together. 5 years later, the village ended the large-scale search. In other words, Hina was left to fend for herself. Sakura didn't want to believe it. After all, Itecho had promised to save her and Hina. Even after Sakura ran away, Rusei swore he and Itecho would still find Hina, no matter what. Following that, Sakura vanished without a trace and cut off all contact with Winter personnel. Itecho regretted not giving his life to save Hina and Sakura back then. He wondered if Sakura still hated him. The next morning, Itecho gave Rusei good news. Thanks to the help of personnel who survived the attack 10 years ago, he would finally be able to see the warmth of spring along with them. In the car ride, Ishihara admired the warm look of spring. She'd forgotten the world could look like this. The last time spring came, she was still a teenager. Likewise, Rusei was lost in the beautiful cherry blossoms. It was proof that Hina had actually come back. That lovely moment would be cut short by a sudden accident on the road. Suspecting it could be an attack, Itecho warned everyone to be cautious. A car had been flipped, and inside were children. The guardrail could only hold a car for so long. As Itecho got word that it wasn't an attack, but an unrelated accident, Rusei quickly left the car. Itecho stopped him, saying he wasn't a hero, but an agent of the Four Seasons. Using his powers in this crowd would put him in more danger. Even at that, Rusei couldn't abandon the lives in front of him. Right now, he could save them. Itacho of all people knew what that meant. Just as the guardrail broke off, Rusei unleashed his powers, catching the car in a pillar of ice. The Agent of Winter's powers was life suspension. Knowing Hina had come back, he put on a full display that made it look like it fit with spring. Walking up to the kids, they took his hand. After the ambulance took the kids away, Itacho assured Rusei he would handle all the trouble to come. He lived for him. The Agent of Winter meant more to him than anyone else. If only he could say those words to Sakura. Nevertheless, he assured Rusei that things with Hina would work out someday. Itacho complimented his magnificent display, knowing he didn't want to ruin Hina's spring. Staring back at it, Rusei remembered when he gave Hina an ice flower. She appeared everywhere to him because of how much he yearned for her. At that moment, Hina felt a chill breeze blow past her. Hina and Sakura were now on a journey to bring spring to Yamato. Luckily, they hadn't run into trouble so far, so they'd be staying with the Agent of Summer to be on the safe side. Sakura also saw this as a way to keep the agency from monitoring them closely. Meanwhile, Hina hoped she'd be able to become friends with the Agent of Summer. In the past, Sakura had friends at school, a happy family at home, and a big sister she adored. She assumed things would go on like this, but one day, it all changed. Hina squealed with excitement as she came across some cute animals. Puppies, kitties, even birds and squirrels. For some reason, Sakura wasn't a fan of the first two. Soon enough, they were approached by Ayame Hazakura, the guard of summer. She'd take them to their room, and there, Hina was shocked to find out Ayame and the Agent of Summer were sisters. Hearing that, she felt both her and herself and Sakura were like that. At first, Sakura was too embarrassed to call herself Hina's sister, but unable to resist her cute expression, she vowed to be her friend, sister, and sword. I mean, who could say no to that face? Ayame could see the rumors about them being close were true. She felt jealous. Unlike them, she was stuck serving her spoiled little sister. Sakura hoped they'd be able to greet the Agent of Summer, but Ayame told them her sister was resting, so it would have to be another time. Later on, Hina was captivated by all the cute animals in the house. The Agent of Summer wielded the power of life operation. With this power, she could speak to and control animals. Hina wished she had those powers, but of course, it came with its challenges. Ayame mentioned that they were responsible for feeding and caring for the animals, which ate into their tight budget. One thing she and Sakura could relate to was the wish to dress their agents more. An agent's wardrobe showcased her retainer skills. Ayame felt kimonos were quite expensive, and Sakura couldn't agree more. The world of kimonos was perilous. Then, she'd go ahead to showcase how charming Hina looked, with no expense spared. All her struggles to make ends meet were worth it for this. Ayame wished to follow her example, but her agent preferred Western dresses. At least, it kept the costs down. Hina considered wearing a suit. Both agents insisted she looked far better in a kimono. The next morning, Hina worked her magic, bringing spring to the land. Returning to her room, Hina waited, while Sakura and Ayame left to fetch snacks. The door would open shortly after, and Hina saw a little bunny there. As she went to pet it, the bunny hopped away. Following it, she was led to the front of the room. As the door opened, Hina saw Ruri, the Agent of Summer. Ruri was curious as to what her sister had said about her. Hearing that Ayame said she was only resting, Ruri assumed her sister didn't care about her at all. Ayame had gone to welcome the Agent of Spring without even telling her. Ruri was actually fine, but only stayed indoors to annoy her sister. She believed Ayame had it easier than she did. Just as Sakura and Ayame showed up, Ruri slammed the door. Ayame banged, telling her sister to come out and apologize. She was furious. Hina calmed her down, explaining that Ruri had only come out to say hi. Later on, Ayame apologized for losing her temper. She couldn't stand how selfish her sister was being. Apparently, Ruri had locked herself inside for 3 months. She was basically on strike, all because Ayame was about to get married, which meant she'd be resigning as her sister's retainer. Just to be sure, Hina asked Sakura if she had plans of getting married. Flustered, Sakura answered that she planned to serve Hina as long as she lived, with no desires or plans to get married. Hina asked if she'd say the same thing if Itacho asked, and Sakura got angry immediately, wondering why she was bringing him into this. Right now, her expression was scaring Hina. Whatever thoughts she had about him 10 years ago had been incinerated. Suddenly, Hina passed out, striking fear and panic into Sakura. Due to the exhaustion of manifesting spring, Hina had developed a slight fever. Ayame came in and told Sakura of the ley line that heightened divine power running through this land. While Hina lay in bed, Sakura would have to prepare porridge for her. In the kitchen, Ayame would join Sakura, Turns out she wasn't so skillful in the kitchen, especially since other people helped her with that. But with her marriage coming up, she decided to learn from Sakura's cooking. While they waited for the food to boil, Sakura asked about Ruri. Ayame opened up about how her sister had always seen her as her property. So, her marriage and resignation felt like someone was stealing her from Ruri. Still, it was surprising that their village agreed to it. Summer did things a bit differently. The agent of Summer's family saw them through childhood. Once they were of age, their future spouse would support them for life. So even if Ayame hadn't gotten married, Ruri's future husband would take over as her guard. Ruri and her future husband had already been introduced and engaged. She even had feelings for him. Despite knowing that getting married would make both her and Ayame happier, she still held it against her. Sakura recalled when Hina went on strike as well. When she first returned, Hina refused to leave her room. Only after 2 years did she finally resume her duties. The village of Spring stopped the search almost immediately. They were waiting for her to die, something Sakura found unforgivable. Once one agent died, the gods would choose another from among the clans of the 4 seasons. Knowing that, the village abandoned Hina. Waiting for her death was easier and less risky. But since Hina didn't die, a new agent was never chosen. She knew all this, and when Sakura saw her again, Hina was refusing to live, let alone manifest Spring. However, Sakura could hardly blame her. After squeezing out all they could from her, Hina was deemed defective when she didn't do what they wanted. The world treated agents like parts to keep the seasons running, and some agents had likened themselves to cattle. No one ever asked to become an agent of the 4 seasons. They couldn't go to school, or make friends, or have fun. Others decided everything for them, and they weren't allowed to say no. And despite doing all the work, what were they rewarded with? Neglect, grudges, and complaints. People even tried to murder them. Ruri never manifested Summer because she liked it. She couldn't care less. It was only to make her sister happy. Hearing that, Sakura asked Ayame if she really believed her sister was being childish. The agents manifested the seasons with their hearts. So maybe Ruri felt Ayame supported her emotionally in a way no one else could. In this cruel world, that was the support she needed to perform the miracle of keeping the seasons turning. Because of that, Sakura reasoned that Ruri couldn't bear to lose her sister. Ayame would be grateful to hear those words. Even if it was too late to change everything, she wanted permission to keep liking her. After all, she loved her dear sister. As Sakura left to serve Hina the porridge, a little squirrel approached Ayame. Seeing it, Ayame's countenance changed. Suddenly, the lights went off, and the animals started going haywire. Sakura quickly got into position to defend Hina. To make things worse, there was no network reception. Just as they were about to join the others downstairs, an insurgent burst into the room, but Sakura wasn't about to let him have an easy time. Man, yeah, really not feeling this series, but maybe I'll give it 2 more weekly episodes, and if I still don't like it, then I'll consider dropping it. But hey, subscribe for more content, but for now, watch this next video. It's me, Comfy Tea. I'll see you all in the next one.